All right, I think we can begin. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 8 of Detect Anything with world-class AI agents. So, yesterday we looked at railroad operations, and the day before that we looked at utilities, another set of distributed high-risk environments. Today we move into refineries and heavy industrial sites. So this is a different kind of risk landscape. In industrial environments, delay is a big risk. A small leak becomes a shutdown. A missed PPE violation becomes an OSHA incident. A heat signature, eventually becomes or could become a fire. In the next few minutes, we'll do three things. First, we'll again ground ourselves in how industrial risk actually behaves. We'll talk about the monitoring gaps that exist in the industrial industry. And third, we'll walk through how event based detection supports both prevention and response. Let's start with the environmental itself. And before we begin, just want to let you know that for today we've added a few sample videos and also a few sample images. We did not have a lot of images or real videos for this specific industry, but I'm sure these are going to definitely paint a picture on how the detections would look like for your specific use case. Right. So again, a little bit of context about the industry in general. Refineries are dense systems. There are a lot of pipes, storage tanks. There's a lot of heat, pressure, people working at great heights, and drone operations don't stop. There is no pause and inspect window. This means monitoring has to work while everything is active. And the risk here is not theoretical, it's actually chemical, mechanical, environmental, all of these combined. Now, here's the important part. Most of these sites, again, are already using drones, a mix of dogged and non-dogged drones. So the next question that pops up is what is still missing? So the challenge isn't flying. The drones are already capturing petrol footage. The real problem is how all of this data is interpreted. So when you run patrols across a refinery, you generate hours of video, but no team can realistically review everything. And while the drone is in flight, you would want to detect things specific to your workflows and get notified instantly. So what happens? Subtle indicators get buried. A small vapor release, for example, a slight sheen on concrete, could be a minor corrosion. A worker working at a great height who's not wearing a harness. By the time someone notices, the response window has already narrowed down, and it could possibly lead to a bigger incident. So the real shift here is what happens when patrols become event driven instead of footage driven. And again, we'll just show you what real risk would look like in such scenarios. So let's start with the highest consequence scenario. It could be a fire that you're responding to. In this environment, again, minutes determine scale. And if it is detected during a patrol, this can happen both proactively and reactively. The video that we're going to show you has a reactive scenario, but you will still be able to verify immediately, trigger your response protocols. Let me actually just play the video. So you can see that there's an active fire identification the moment the fire. So this is again a reactive scenario where you can see that this is post incidents or during the incident. Emergency vehicles are already there on site. You were able to detect, the fire, how dense it is, the direction in which it is blowing. You're able to see emergency vehicles based on the scale of the incident. You can also probably figure out how many more resources do you need, what kind of damage there is, and what kind of maintenance work, for example, would be required. The next is smoke. So smoke is often the first sign to a bigger incident, before flame, before a shutdown, before an emergency escalation. But in a dense refinery layout, smoke can be subtle in wide aerial footage. If it is flagged early during a routine patrol or even an inspection, operators can quickly figure out and zoom in. Maintenance teams can intervene. Escalations can be prevented. Right. So this is, a smoke or a vapor plume. Now let's talk about something even more common than fire. This is leaks. Leaks are rarely dramatic at first. A visible discharge from a pipe, pooling liquid inside containment, but this is where environmental exposure, begins, and this is where even ignition risk also starts to happen. If you detect during the patrols, the difference is intervention before escalation. Instead of reviewing it after shift and realizing it was missed, you are able to keep a track of it, again get notified, and you can then follow your SOPs to figure out what needs to be done about this risk. And your assets are already mapped, so you know where this leak happened, which is the nearest team that should go and respond to it. You also have a clear evidence or images that you can share with the relevant stakeholders. Now, let's move a little outward, beyond pipes, to containment itself. So dike walls, are very common in refineries, and they exist for one reason. So containment, vegetation growth inside, dikes or dike walls, initially could seem minor, but it compromises inspection visibility. It increases fire spread risk. It weakens containment integrity as well. So this is a proactive risk management, and you know this kind of a proactive measure is something that matters in industrial settings. Now, let's talk about another common risk that we've seen across all industries is human risk. So, in refineries, safety compliance isn't optional, it's something that you need to abide by. A worker at height without a harness is not a small violation, it's an incident waiting to happen. So, you could detect anything like a worker wearing uh, hard hats, helmets, their safety vests, do they have harnesses on while they're, on the tank at great heights. So it's about protecting workers, documenting compliance, reducing insurance exposure, and this is something that you can do using the workers detect anything AI agent as well. So now let's shift to long-term integrity. Maybe not urgent risk, but cumulative risk. So asset integrity is something that we've seen a lot of oil refineries, industrial refineries really want to tap into. And again, this is not something like it's not a risk related to explosives, but this risk is slow and it ages your assets over time. So corrosion, rust, standing water on tank roofs is something that we've seen are the most common problems. Let's say it rains, it rained during the last 12 hours, and you want to figure out if there's a lot of water accumulation on the tanks, which could eventually lead to structural damage, and that's an incident or a disaster waiting to happen. This can also lead to shutdowns, and that's something that you would want to avoid because disruption is something that is a non-negotiable in this specific industry. Right. So let's just move out, zoom out a bit. I think we have a couple of more videos that I missed. So again, some examples of corrosion being detected on the various tanks that you have. So you can see there's some severe rusting on top oil tanks. If there's anything specific that you like to detect, that's something that you can do as well. Right. So zooming out a bit, on the entire industrial monitoring aspect. So industrial operations run in two modes, and again, pretty common with what we've seen in across other industries. So there's prevention mode where you detect leaks early, you maintain containment, you monitor safety compliance and track corrosion or rusting, and then there's a response mode where you sort of firefighting, detecting fire, smoke verification, incident documentation, or supporting shutdowns. The Refinery and Industrial Monitoring Agent supports both. It's not again replacing your operators. It prioritizes their attention, and in this environment, attention is scarce, and that's something that this agent helps you achieve. Now let's connect this into the broader system as well. So how this fits into our broader flight base one vision. So again, this agent is running inside flight base one, dock patrol drones, emergency response deployments with non-docks. You have live telemetry, live video streaming, back to your command and situational rooms where the right stakeholders can take actions based on what they see on site. AI alerts are layered on top of your entire drone operations. And this is not just video storage, this is structured industrial oversight, which brings us back to where we started. So, again, in industrial environments, delay compounds risks. Small signals really matter. A leak, a vapor plume, a missing harness, a patch of corrosion. All of these things are something that you need to either proactively or reactively mitigate. And the Refinery and Industrial Monitoring Agent turns that patrol footage into operational insights. There's no more cognitive load on the data, there's just earlier awareness, and that's the real difference when it comes to operations. Right, so this is it for today. If anybody has any questions, we can take them. And while you figure out what questions you would probably want to ask, tomorrow we are going to cover another physical site. So tomorrow it's going to be the mining agent, where we show you how the detect anything workhorse AI agent works at mining sites. So it could be detecting haul trucks, it could be detecting dust patterns, blasting sites, security, surveillance, theft is something that's pretty common and a big problem at mining sites. So that's something that we are going to cover tomorrow as well. Right, no questions till now. All right, then what we can do is we can wrap up for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's session, and appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow and sharing more with you. If you haven't already tried Workhorse Detect Anything agents, please go ahead, test it, use it. Let us know if you have any feedback. We can quickly iterate on it and customize it to your specific workflows. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Ozzy. Bye bye.